Welcome, everybody, to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. I'm your host, Ross Benjamin, and I am joined today, always by Doug Upstone on Mondays, but Chip is with us on Monday today as well because, we're not going to be filming Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. We got a few games that we're going to be talking about today on Thanksgiving. I'm very much looking forward to. But without further ado, Chipper, how are you?
Well, I'm wearing black because I'm a bit mourning after that game of the year call on Saturday. First time I lost one of those in over a year and really took a pounding with Tennessee. And Ross, I knew I was in big trouble when I went to the board to bet this game, and the line was 9. And I sort of did a take back. I said it's supposed to be 11.5, and I guess all the wise guy money came on my side, which is never a good sign as far as I'm concerned. And it took a beating, a thorough beating, but we're ready to regroup this weekend. Going to come back with another big one.
Yeah, I got beat up this weekend too. With 3-4 on Saturday, I had a top play on Kansas State. They fell short of covering. They won the game. But yesterday, 1-4. And I did hit my top play on the Minnesota Vikings. Lost one game by a point, another game by half a point. It happens. You win something like that too. But Doug, give me some good news.
Well, you know what? For once, I have it. Okay, so I can deliver. Okay, so yes, 7-2 for the weekend, up $1,670 based on how Docs does units. So that was very good. Hit my 6-unit play. I also had Minnesota Ross last night, so that had to sit through that 2-point try by Denver, but got it done. So that was good. And so it was, at least from this chair, it was a very good weekend and looking just to build on that going forward.
Yeah, it wasn't the most appealing game in the world to watch, but it was exciting at the end. And boy, that Ken Sutton now 2 weeks in a row, he's made 2 terrific catches late in the game to win games for Denver. Denver +3 turnover differential. I said you can't sustain that, but they continue to do so. And, God bless them. They're winning. That's been an integral part of their win streak. But again, I would be very, very cautious with Denver going forward. That's me. Anyway, we are sponsored by Gamblers World. You can find me and Chip over at gamblersworld.net. It's there where we guarantee all our picks. If you don't make a profit, you don't win on a single game or daily game package or any subscription plan of 30 days or less. You will be credited the exact amount of money that you paid for that specific package. You can also find Doug, as you alluded to, at docsports.com. Unfortunately, he is contracted there, so we can't bring him aboard, or else I would. But in any event, Doug's with us twice a week. He's been with us twice a week for a while now, and he's going to continue to be with us twice a week. Now, Chipper, he's going to be back with us tomorrow as myself, Chip, and Paul Bovey will be talking more college football. And then going forward, Chip will be with me and Doug on Thursday as well, added to his normal Tuesday time slot. But today's a special occasion. We got Chip on a Monday, and we're discussing the NFL. And, Chip, I'm going to start with you. The Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders on Thanksgiving Day. Boy, oh, boy, just when you thought Washington was maybe making strides, they made Tommy DeVito look like the second coming of Johnny Unitas yesterday and lose outright to the Giants, much to my chagrin. But right now, the Dallas Cowboys, who are rolling, are an 11-point favorite, and the total in this game is 48.5, Chip.
Well, the storyline for the Dallas Cowboys this year appears to be that if they play the little guy, they're going to beat him up. When they're going against big competition, say like the Miami Dolphins, they sort of fall short. And Washington, that's a whole nother story. I mean, this team is absolutely horrid on defense. They're 29th in the NFL and committed 6 turnovers. I mean, that's why Danny, whoever DeVito may actually be, if he ever gets out of his house, 3 TD passes. I mean, 6 turnovers is hard to overcome. And, one thing about this Washington team, did you see that Sam Howell run to the end zone? I mean, he got whacked all over the place, and he showed a lot of moxie as far as I'm concerned. And I like that kind of a heart from a player, particularly my quarterback. I mean, if Zach Wilson showed anything like that for the Jets, they may be a little more enamored with him, but he's a whole nother case. But Washington now, in the last 2 times they've played Dallas, if you remember the last game of the year last year, they won 26-6. They really dominated the play. But the key here is the last 2 times they played the Cowboys, they only allowed 64 and 62 yards rushing. And, if you're going to commit 6 turnovers, you're not winning anything. But if you can hold the opposition, particularly the Cowboys, to that many yards rushing, you have a chance to win the game, but you have a better chance at keeping the score low. It was 26-6 the last time they played. I see this game going under the total. Dallas has the number 2 defense in the league right now, and everyone's commenting about Cleveland's defense, of course, and everyone else out there at the Steelers. But the number 2 overall defense by yards allowed is the Dallas Cowboys. And, I just don't see there being a lot of scoring in this game because I see Washington come into a division game, which are usually a little bit tighter. Dallas has won 6 of the last 10 between the two. They're 4-0 against the number and 4-0 straight up at home. It's tough to overcome that, but, I think that this game is going to have a different type of pace because of the kind of game Washington had last week. I think they're going to look to protect the ball and slow the game down and extend the time between each play. So I think this game stays under the total, Ross.
All right. So Chipper, he likes the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders to go under the total of 48.5 on Thanksgiving Day. That game kicks off at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Or 4 o'clock Eastern time. What time does that game kick off? Let me make sure here. 4:30. My fault.
It's the middle game. Just go with the middle game. That's all you have.
Middle game. Yeah, have something to eat and then you'll be ready to go. In any event, you know what? In terms of this matchup, call me crazy. It wouldn't be the first time, but you see a team like Washington get embarrassed against the Giants yesterday at home. And they've been very competitive on the road. And Dallas, like Chip said, I mean, they're not only 4-0 straight up in ATS at home, but they're annihilating people at home. I just think that this is too many points. I just think in a division game like this, one thing Washington has shown is a bit of resiliency this year. And you're right, Chip. I love Sam Howell. I loved him in college. Yeah. And that it was right there what you just described. If anybody didn't see that play, they should see it again. He got stood up at the goal line. He wouldn't go down, and it created a brawl because the Giants really roughed them up there. But in any event, I'm going to have a small lead here, Doug, on the Washington Commanders plus the 11.
Well, I'm going to respectfully, that's what I'm trying to say, disagree with Chip on this one. I'm going to choose the over, not by any wide margin or anything. I'm just looking at Dallas. The average score of their games at home so far is 52 points. Washington, in the games that they have tend to be more competitive in, they're awful at home. I mean, you can change it from the Redskins to the Commanders and you can change owners, but you know what? Washington still can't win at home. So that's their problem. It's been going on for years. But like Ross, you said, they do play better on the road and they tend to play, just higher scoring games. They got rid of the 2 defensive linemen. That doesn't help. Their secondary was already bad. And even if I'll even agree with certain things that Chip said, but one of the things that to me that we keep seeing each and every almost every week with Dallas, either the special teams or the defense scores a touchdown. And so if you're close, to that number, which you have to figure the game likely would be, all it would take is one of those plays, and there's no way to, let's just say, to figure how and when that's going to happen. So I'm going to go over the total on this one because of that.
Ross, one other comment I'd like to make. Last week, if you looked at the box score and the numbers, the Giants had only 12 first downs, and our boy DeVito was sacked 9 times. If they can do half of that against the Cowboys, I think they're going to keep it under the total.
Yeah, they beat themselves yesterday, like you said, Chip. I mean, not only they committed 6 turnovers, but they didn't force any either. And, and you look at the Giants' total yardage yesterday, like Chip just alluded to, 292 yards. Yes, DeVito had 260 yards passing or so. But, remember, in the NFL, sacks count against your passing yards. So Whatever you lose in sack yards, it goes against your passing numbers. So, yeah, Washington, you look at the road games, guys, they lose 29-26 at Seattle. On the last play, it was a walk-off field goal they lost by. New England, they win 20-17. Then they laid a dud at the Giants 14-7. They win at Atlanta. They win at Denver. They go to Philadelphia and lose 34-31. I mean, they blew a 14-point lead in that game. So the best thing about Washington is they're consistently inconsistent, is what I'm trying to say. But they seem to play, like we just all touched upon, better on the road. But our official pick here is Washington and Dallas under 48.5 from Chip Chirimbes. Chip, you've been rolling. I know that you mentioned you had a little bit of a rough go this weekend, but overall, when you go to the site right now, and I'm going to do that right as we speak so I can give you the accurate numbers, Chip is number 2 over the last 7 days with a 17-12 record. He's also number 1 over the last 30 days with a 71-48 record. And based on our calculations of $100 per unit, Chip is up $8,798 over the last 30 days. And over the last 60 days, Chip is 116-91, up $9,283. And currently, he's number 2 at the site since its inception. So, Chipper, anything I missed there or anything that folks could look forward to you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I'm looking to pass the number 1 guy, who's you, I believe, and we'll be working on that real soon. But coming off Saturday's devastating loss, I mean, I was really sick. I was able to rebound like most champions do. I came back with Green Bay as my big winner on Sunday. And, I've been doing very well on the Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night standalone games. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend. And basketball has done really, really well for us so far, particularly in the NBA. I haven't done all that much in college basketball as of yet because, I think it takes a little more time, Ross, to garner information on the college level and see what they're doing. Particularly in basketball. So I'm waiting for that to come around. You'll probably see something happen this weekend with it through the holidays. But right now, we're always raring to go with a big game winner on the weekend, and that's where we're looking to hang our hat.
Yes, to Chip's point, he's 24-14 to start the season in the NBA. Not too bad, folks. Up $3,245. That's a 63% win percentage. You can find Chip again at gamblersworld.net. Like all of us, Chip's picks are guaranteed. Every multi-game and single game package, as well as all subscription plans of 30 days or less. If Chip doesn't win for you, he doesn't make a profit, which isn't too often, he's going to, you're going to be credited back the exact amount of your purchase price. Doug, let's get to you, my friend, and you get the opening game, an interesting matchup, a team that you've always followed throughout your not only your career, but since you've been a young man, the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. And I know that you have a good feel about what's going on with Green Bay, but they're in tough here at Detroit. Detroit 7.5-point favorite, total 45.5. Jordan Love coming up his first 300-yard career game passing yesterday, Doug.
Yeah, well, in fact, the Packers offense the last 3 weeks, each game has ended up total offense in the 390s. So there's a little something going on. He's figuring out some stuff from that standpoint. There's some continuity in the offense. One of the things, though, that's a problem potentially is that they are 1-4 straight up on the road, and they've lost the last 4 games because, of course, they always beat the Bears in Chicago. So that goes without saying, it seems. But those 4 losses have been by a grand total of 11 points. So you can make a case for the Packers here in this one. Packers are vulnerable against the run. They continue to have problems like that, but they're still, in terms of points allowed, they're 10th in the NFL in terms of points allowed. And they have the revenge factor, having lost rather convincingly to Detroit 34-20 earlier this season. Now, Jared Goff comes off the worst game of the season for him yesterday. He was just awful. All three of his interceptions were poor. The Detroit defense was equally as poor, giving up 26 points against a team that until yesterday, they finally crawled over the 20-point barrier in terms of offense, speaking of Chicago. But here's the thing. That Detroit offense is so physical, okay, with how they run the ball, with Dan Campbell as their coach. I mean, it's personified with his personality. They have a ton of weapons on the perimeter. They have very good running backs. And not only are these guys good runners, they're also good in the passing game when they can get matched up on some linebackers. And the Packers linebackers have shown all season that they will get, confused on how they should run certain coverages. Packers are improving. Like I said, I think so. And especially, like I said, in the 390 plus yards, but in these last three games, but they're still only averaging 20 points per game. Okay. Even in those games, just a hair over. Detroit has won 4 of the last 5 straight up and against the spread. I think Detroit comes here wanting to send a message that there is a new king in the division, and the king is the Detroit Lions in this one. Now, for me, the half-point hook, maybe I shouldn't worry about it, but it gives me a little trepidation at 7.5. But I actually do think Detroit will end up winning by around 10 points. But here's my favorite play. I think Detroit comes to play. In the last 83 times, a team that was an underdog of 2 to 6 points in the first half, revenging against an opponent who scored 28 or more times, or 28 or more points, and they're off an upset win as a home underdog, they have lost the first half of the next game by 8.1 points. Give me Detroit minus the 4, okay, against the Green Bay Packers.
The Detroit Lions minus the 4 in the first half against the Green Bay Packers. Chipper, you were wise enough to have Chicago yesterday, and you look at the final score and you would have thought it'd be a sweat, but no. Detroit or Chicago was covering that game throughout.
Yep.
And if Detroit wins the game despite being -3 in a turnover differential. So, what's your take on this game?
Well, I say the same thing in baseball. There are a lot of games out there where these teams have no business winning the game. And this, I think, really comes to fruition in the playoffs because they now have so much confidence and they've won these games and they know they can win these games when things have been adverse for them and they haven't played all that well and they just stick it out. And, they didn't quit. They stuck with it and they had, a safety at the end. Who knows what could happen, but I'm glad I got the cover. Maybe I didn't get the outright win, but I thought Chicago was really ready to play with Fields being back now, and he's added a little bit more to their offense, I'd say, in the last half of the season, second half of this season, because he started out atrociously, but then he's put together some pretty good performances.
Yeah, again, the Green Bay Packers, the big concern, and Doug brought it up, their last 2 games, they gave up 150 yards rushing to the Chargers, and the Chargers aren't a good running team. And they also, 2 games, the game before that at Pittsburgh, they gave up 205 yards rushing. And then you look at the Detroit Lions, and they spent much of the second half having to pass because they were down by a double-digit margin. They still ran for 115 yards. They still averaged over 5 yards per carry. In the 2 games before that, they ran for 200 against the Chargers and 222 against Las Vegas. I just think if you could run the ball effectively like that, and again, I just mentioned, and Doug mentioned, Green Bay's vulnerability against the run. I just think this sets up for a Detroit blowout here. I really do. It's going to open up play action passing, and I think they're going to have no trouble running the ball, and it's going to be an uphill climb for the Packers offense to catch up in this game. And go ahead, Chip.
No, I'm sorry, Russ. I was just going to say that Chicago did not dominate that game so much yesterday. They had the ball for over 40 minutes of possession time, and they ran the ball 46 times. And Detroit still managed to come back and win that game. I mean, that's a tremendous achievement in my book. It really is. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him put together, like you said, come this weekend.
Yeah, and the other concern, Doug, your take on this is Aaron Jones left the game and didn't finish the game yesterday with a knee injury. And their other running back got hurt as well. They had Corey Dillon got the majority of the carries but their second string or the third string guy went down as well. So another concern there.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the thing that we've really seen, it's pretty much true in Dylan's career, is that he plays better as the second fiddle as opposed to the main guy. When Jones, for example, has been out this year, he has not played that well. I believe he's been held to under 50 yards rushing in each of those games, but he's had much better games when he's with the continuity of having Jones there coming in as a change of pace back, with the power game. And he's one of those guys that, he doesn't get stronger with more carries. He gets stronger with just some early success, but it doesn't necessarily carry through. So when he's fresher, he tends to play better. And so I think that's a problem. And the Packers are going to have to pick up somebody either off, their squad, practice squad, or, somewhere else for another running back. Because if Dylan gets hurt, then what? Then they really have nobody. And then that also takes away their ability for Love to throw the ball on wheel routes or anything to running backs. That's all out the door now, other than throwing the ball to Dylan.
Yeah, and he's listed as questionable, meaning Aaron Jones. But I'll go back to what Rex Ryan always used to say, because I heard some of his press conferences. It's never a good sign when a player does not finish a game due to injury in terms of his availability the next week. But in this particular instance, it's not even the next week. It's with 3 days rest. So I would say there's a high probability that he's not going to play. Now, I don't have any inside information in that regard, but that would be my educated guess. Doug, tell the folks a little bit about what's been going on at Doc Sports, what you got coming up this week, or anything else you want to share the audience in that regard.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, had a super weekend in football across the board, college and pro. So that was excellent, going 7-2. Happy with that. In the NFL in particular, I've been doing well now for quite some time, winning weeks in 7 of the last 9 in the NFL, along with hitting 75% of my most recent best bets. So that's been very good. As it turns out, Monday, tonight, if you happen to see this video, I have a 5-unit NFL prop play. I had one of his favorite players, James Cook, yesterday with Buffalo. His over-under was 55.5, and he cruised to 65 in that one. So that puts me at 70% on NFL props of late. So really been doing well there. And I have a 5-unit best bet going tonight. And with that, you're going to get 2 plays, okay, with that. So you can check that out at the Upstone page at Doc Sports. And then in terms of the other sports, I had a winning week in the NHL, the NBA, and college basketball. So really happy with that. And as I mentioned the other day, I finished number 3 overall in the CFL to complete the season. So that always puts a smile on Ross's face, which means it puts a smile on my face as well.
Chip even gets into the CFL a little bit. He, as opposed to you, he knew what a rouge was, though. Okay.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. And you know,
I'd rather you not know what a rouge is. I would rather you not know what a rouge is and win the way you have been in CFL. Not to say that Chip isn't. In any event, folks, you could find me at gamblersworld.net as well. And yeah, I look at, we're all transparent on this network, okay? And if somebody wasn't, they wouldn't be on this network. Clear as day. That's I can't make it any clearer than that. But I went 1-4 in the NFL yesterday. I went 3-4 in college football on Saturday. Not a great weekend, but if you've been following me right along, folks, you know how resilient I am and what a good year I've been having. And when I have a bad week this year, it's pretty much, you could be rest assured I'm coming back roaring like a lion the following week. Even with that 1-4 day yesterday, I did have a winner with Baltimore on Thursday. I do have a play in tonight's game in the NFL, if you see this in time, by the way, in the Chiefs and Eagles contest, which I know Mr. Jim Quinn is looking forward to. And NFL, 33-22 since week 2. That's good for 60%. I got off to a 2-5 start in week 1. Since then, even with yesterday's bad day, 33-22. My football plays combined, college football and the NFL since September 14th, 76-53, which is good for 59%. And you dime players out there have made a ton of money with me on my college football and NFL. And then dating back to April 12th of last year, my NBA, 34-17, good for 67%. College basketball, a moderate 27-20 run. Not great, not where I want to be, but still winning money. So you can find me at gamblersworld.net, folks. And let me get to my game, which is the Seattle Seahawks hosting the San Francisco 49ers. And that will be the Thursday night game, Thanksgiving night, 8:20 p.m. kickoff. San Francisco right now is a 7-point favorite, total 43. 49ers have bounced back nicely after going into that 0-3 straight up in ATS funk, which nobody saw coming. They've won their last two. They won them quite easily over Tampa Bay by 13 yesterday, 27-14. And then they crushed Jacksonville the week before that, 34-3. However, it's a short week. They're on the road, and up next is a potential NFC Championship preview game where they're going to Philadelphia. And this could be a potential flat spot for the 49ers. I mean, with all that being accounted for. Seattle, on the other hand, since losing their home opener to the Rams, they've gone 4-0 straight up at home since that time. Furthermore, since 2011, and all with Pete Carroll as their head coach, this is a Seattle team that's gone 12-2 against the spread and 9-5 straight up as a home underdog of 3 or greater. And the highest they were as far as an underdog point spread in those matchups was 7. So it's not like they were catching 10 or 12 in some games. And out of those 12-2 ATS run, they won 9 of those games straight up. Now, I know a lot of you out there will say, well, Ross, you're contradicting yourself because you tell us you don't like to look at past years in terms of team trends. Well, I do if it involves the same coaching staff. Now, yeah, there's been some assistants that have gone and left, but under Pete Carroll, he's been there throughout that whole time, and that holds water with me. Now, Seattle's off a 17-16 loss at the Rams yesterday. Rams kick a field goal on the last play of the game, and now they're 6-4. Nobody expected Seattle to really contend for an NFC West title. The consensus was they would be a legitimate contender for an NFC wildcard spot. However, if they have any aspirations of winning the NFC West, which they're only one game behind San Francisco, they're going to be facing them 2 of the next 3 weeks. This is a must-win game. And why do I say it's a must-win? Well, first of all, if they lose this game, they're going to be 2 games behind in the standings with 5 left to play. And 4 of their last 6 games are on the road, including the next 2 at Dallas, and as I just mentioned, at San Francisco. And they follow up those 2 games with a home game versus Philadelphia, which certainly won't be easy. So again, I'm not going to be brave enough to say, okay, Seattle needs this game more, so they're going to win the game. I am going to be brave enough to say I think they're going to keep this game a lot closer than people think. And I also think there is a realistic chance that they may be able to pull off the upset here. I don't think it's far-fetched. So I'm going to go with the team that's playing with a lot of urgency and desperation in the Seattle Seahawks here, and I'm going to take the 7 points against the San Francisco 49ers. Doug?
My first question, Ross, this is for both of you, both Chip and Ross. Do you think that the -7 is that the odds makers are thinking that Geno Smith is not going to play? Or do you think that's the case? Okay, so
yeah, well, if you look at the opening number, yeah, I would think that there's some protection there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, because I agree that I do like Seattle in the sense of the situation here, but what I don't like is if Drew Lock has to play. I mean, it was so bad yesterday, the way he played, okay, that it was like it forced the hand of Geno Smith to come in. Now, obviously he was good enough or healthy enough to come in and, finish the game as he did. But it was more to me, it was like a sense of desperation, both for Geno Smith and for Seattle, to do whatever they could to get him in here, because he looked worse than Zach Wilson, okay, in terms of what he did and how he played. So for me, if that's the case, if Geno can't play, I'm not going to take San Francisco. I just think this ends up being a lower scoring game overall because of that, and I'm going to go under for that reason.
All right, so Doug has a lean toward the under, and the under right now is 42.5. So again, or what did I have it at? 43.5 in that area, folks. So Chipper, any thoughts in terms of what Doug said and what I said?
I just want to reinforce what Doug said. He said, my first concern is Geno Smith. I mean, is he going to be healthy enough to come back? Is he going to be effective? If you're with Locke, it makes a whole different ballgame. And it was a matter of desperation, him putting Geno Smith back in that situation. I watched it. And, of course, Pete Carroll inexplicably calls a running play at, with no timeouts left and forces a 55-yard field goal where I really anticipated a pass play then to get a little closer for a game-winning try. But Smith is the key to me. He's got to be in the lineup, and as well as Walker. Walker's got to be healthy.
Yeah, and it's accounted for in the line, I believe. But he is listed as questionable. Right. So not doubtful, not out. So there's a chance, and he did finish the game. Now, having said that, who knows how much of finishing the game, like Doug said, was desperation and on adrenaline. The problem with his recovery period is he's going to have 3 days to recover instead of 6. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So with or without Geno Smith, I am still going to hang my hat with the Seattle Seahawks in this situation. Real important matchup, strong home field against a San Francisco team that might be flat here. And I'm going to go stick with my guns and take Seattle plus the 7. So once again,
do we get you a 12th man hat then, Russ? Do we get to that?
Why not?
Okay. All right. I mean, it seems fitting if you're going to go, if you're going to go with that. So I like that. I like the courage.
As long as I'm the first man with my wife and not the 12th man.
Hey, I'm not even going to touch that. I'm letting that go.
We've gone blue, folks. We've gone blue.
Yeah. All right, folks. So there you have it. You have our picks. Doug likes Detroit minus the 4 over the Green Bay Packers in the first half. That is a first half bet. Chipper likes the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys to go under the total of 48.5. And I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks plus the 7. And I think I'm on an island there, but that's okay. Islands are good, Chip. They are, especially when you got people. Never mind. In any event, that's our 3 picks. And Chip, there's a like button underneath. What do you think they should do with that like button?
Push it once and let us know you enjoyed the show.
That's right, because last week Chip said to push it twice, and that would be an unlike. So push it just one time, just a small token of your appreciation for the time and effort we put into bringing you a quality podcast right here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. And also, folks, don't forget, there's a subscribe button. If you're watching on your PC, it's actually a WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Click on that. It's absolutely free to subscribe to our channel. And also, if you're on your smart TV or your mobile device, there's a black subscribe button. Real simple. Hit that. You're subscribed for free. And then take one extra step further. Whether you're new or you've been a subscriber right along and you haven't done this already, go into your YouTube settings and click on that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel, and you'll be notified immediately upon us publishing any of our podcasts in the upcoming days and weeks. Until the next time, for Chip Chirimbes and Doug Upstone, happy Thanksgiving from all 3 of us. And we'll see Chip, you back tomorrow. And Doug, we'll see you next Monday. So have a great holiday season. And also, we'll be back tomorrow morning with Jesse Schule and Sean Higgs as well. So take care and God bless, folks.